For what purposes, Mr. Pence, rise?
Mr. Speaker, I'd ask unanimous consent to claim Mr. Burton's time and address the House for 5 minutes, revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The largest abortion provider in America should not also be the largest recipient of federal funding under Title X. Today, with the support of more than 120 of my colleagues, I introduced the Title X Abortion Provider Prohibition Act. I'm grateful for the support of my colleagues within this House and the support of millions of Americans who long to see this Congress take this decisive action on behalf of our values. The Title X Abortion Provider Prohibition Act would deny any family planning funds under Title X from going to Planned Parenthood or other organizations that perform abortions. It would ensure that abortion providers are not subsidized with federal tax dollars. Now let me say, to be very clear, Mr. Speaker, this legislation does not cut one penny from Title X family planning funding. I applaud much of the important work that's done at Title X clinics across this country: breast cancer screening, HIV protection, education, counseling, pregnancy diagnosis. This legislation simply prevents family planning funding from aiding organizations that profit from the abortion industry. Federal funding should reflect the priorities and the values of a majority of the American people. Whatever people think about abortion across this country, since Roe versus Wade, survey after survey have shown that an overwhelming majority of Americans oppose the use of taxpayer dollars to support, subsidize, or promote abortion at home or abroad. It's for that reason that I would assume that most Americans would be surprised, if not shocked, to learn that the largest abortion provider in America is also the largest recipient of federal funding under Title X. But that is most certainly the case. According to their own annual report, Planned Parenthood received more than $363 million in government funding in 2009 alone. During that time, they performed an unprecedented 324,008 abortions, a heartbreaking statistic. Planned Parenthood of America continues to receive a greater amount of federal funding each year while simultaneously taking over an increasing share of the devastating abortion market in this country. Now, look, Planned Parenthood and its defenders will claim that the money they've received from the government has not been used to fund abortions, but that is only technically true. Current law prohibits the use of Title X family planning funds, quote, in programs where abortion is a method of family planning, close quote. Therein lies the loophole. While Title X money cannot directly be used to fund abortions, common sense says there's no question that taxpayer dollars received by Planned Parenthood are used to cover allowed expenses like overhead operational costs, thus freeing up other money for the clinics that do provide abortion. And in many of our largest cities, Title X clinics are literally, run by Planned Parenthood, are literally just steps away from abortion clinics operated by Planned Parenthood, many times in the same building. This legislation would close that loophole that's forced millions of pro-life Americans to subsidize the nation's leading abortion provider, sustaining and underwriting this nefarious trade. I urge my colleagues to support the Title X Abortion Provider Prohibition Act. I urge our new majority to bring this legislation forward with all deliberate speed. Let me say again, the largest abortion provider in America should not also be the largest recipient of federal funding under Title X. For the sake of American taxpayers, for the sake of the important work being done at Title X clinics across this country, and most importantly, for the sake of the defenseless unborn and vulnerable young women who find themselves in a crisis pregnancy, we must enact the Title X Abortion Provider Prohibition Act and end the day of taxpayer support for these organizations. I yield back.